Howdy there, Clint Cowpoke here. Not really schizo or nutso or whatever it is. I tell you all about the dogies and cokies and pocos. What comed out there this year 2012 business. I was rather amused by the whole deal and the calendar and all that. It turns out that if you do a little actual study and research, you discover them Mayans, they weren't talking about doomsday at all. Their cyclic calendar of the cartoon. The cartoon is a time period. Their cyclic calendar comes to an end after 5,000 Earth years, according to supposedly these Latin guys that got a hold of it later on and wrote about it. Problem is, the Latin guys, afraid them Italians, not Italian, now wait a minute, Spaniards, that's it, it was Spaniards. Okay, they conquered that area of the Mesoamerican world. And the Spaniards took over everything and basically burned and destroyed all the other Mayan stuff, but for some reason kept their Dresden Codex and their other stuff, and then tried to interpret it in Latin ways. How that could work, I don't know. Now, according to astronomy and such, it appears that our Greco-Roman calendar uses months or phases of the moon, periods of the moon, to be able to tell years. 365 days on our calendar. The Mayans used the sun. It's a little different. They used the sun. Interestingly enough, they were a sun-centered society like the Egyptians. And they worshipped the sun gods and deities, and the moon god was over here, a little smaller one. Makes sense that a culture would that is in the either jungle or in the deserts, wherever, is going to worship something that's really big in the sky. That way they'd adapt to things. It was their attempt to explain the world, you see. And they couldn't really explain it too well because they didn't have telescopes. They managed to sophisticatedly create an astronomy calendar anyway through observations, through picture writings and picture drafts and stuff. How the Latins decided that somehow these pictographs that they got a hold of and translated, and we could go on to why the British messed up with the Egyptian stuff a long time ago. We could go into that too, but History Channel's kind of been okay with that one. Sometimes. Sometimes not. But anyway, so this Mayan calendar, this cyclic calendar thing, has been misinterpreted. Now, here's I can tell from my research, and I know Mark's cards and some other people, by looking on the webs and such, I discovered that in fact the Mayans, and there was a couple of Mayan descendants actually on there, and they interviewed them. And they're all, we don't know what you're talking about. They were like looking at them funny, like, what? We don't want you guys coming over here to cack yourselves in 2012. It's stupid. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. But it's like, okay, if the Mayans really didn't say that, then what does the Codex say? Well, here's what I figured it said. I may be Clint Cowpoke and I may have a funny voice, but I'm pretty smart. And I done figured it out. It's a solar calendar. Like Stonehenge is, actually. Stonehenge is a calendar too. It's a big astronomical calendar thing. And Woodhenge as well. Stonehenge is a solar calendar, and the Woodhenge is a lunar one. And so even the Druids, or pre-Druids, knew about that kind of stuff. And so did the Egyptians. We were very smart back then, and it's not aliens that came down and gave us technology and gave us the Sumerian tablet or whatever, of lizard bug things or whatever, Anunnaki or whatever. It wasn't aliens. We were just as smart back then as we are now. We just didn't have the technology. Now you say, oh, that's related to the technology. The aliens came along. No, something else happened. We'll just say God did it, because we don't know. But space aliens? And then when they start talking about the space aliens, we're looking for gold, so they made a gold thing in the pyramid to make gold. Like, what the hell? What the heck are they talking about? That's just bull. That's bull pucky right there. That's bull. So anyway, the Mayans Why would they come after gold? There's like all kinds of gold in the universe. Why would they come to Earth looking for it? Go out and find it in space. Why come here? No, they were just interested in our women. And why not? So anyways, I'm kind of losing track of the subject here. Okay, the Mayan thing, the cartoons, that funny looking calendar with the circle and all that, doesn't say anything about a doomsday at all. What it says is, the end of the cycle will bring forth change. Change. Whatever that is. Sounds like the Obama campaign a couple of years ago. That's all. Change. So in 2012, on the winter solstice, change might happen. Ooh, change is always happening. I think that guy writing that calendar got bored. Or died. Or something. The Mayans all supposedly disappeared. The Spaniards couldn't find them because they ran off. Though they were still around, they just ran off. They didn't want to get captured by the Spaniards. They thought the Spaniards were gods. They saw a man on a horse and thought, oh, it's a god. Oh, and they freaked out. So they ran away. But some of them came back after all that was said and done, and they said, hey, what's all this stuff? They couldn't get their treasure back either. They took it. So, the space alien gold. Ooh. Yeah, there's gold in them there hills. Anyway, so even if there isn't gold, the Mayans did not predict any kind of doomsday at all. And they could say, oh, well, there's been more earthquakes and hurricanes recently. That's just the global climate change. That's just the people messing with the Earth. That's all that is. That's bad, but that's not the end of the world. We can change it before then. We can fix that. If we get fixing it now. But anyway, the Mayans didn't predict doomsday, so there isn't a doomsday. There was the Italians. They really liked it. They were looking at that. Catholics were looking at that. Italian Catholics wanted to convert all of these Indian people. And they're like, oh, it must be the sign of the end times. Even back then, the 1500s, they took over the place. And it's like, no, it wasn't the doomsday back then, and it's not the doomsday now. Because it ain't doomsday. It's not. That's what it is. It's not doomsday. So if the Mayan calendar is solar, basically, and the cartoons don't really say it's the end of the world, they say it's the end of change, the end of the cycle, that's all it is. You don't need to worry about it. So there you go. That's basically the gist of it. The Mayans aren't even to blame here. It's the guys that reinterpreted it later and got it wrong. The Mayans are as in the dark as we are, going like, what the heck are you guys talking about? It's kind of like the old Peco Picanha sauce commercial where the picante sauce was made in New York City, not in the South, Texas. Picante sauce is supposed to be made in Texas. At least that's what they say. Irony is, it probably didn't come from Texas neither. Maybe last year was the year of the snake. I just have to look that up. But it's not important. What's important is the Mayans didn't do nothing. Anything. So, see you later. Goofball stuff, quatrains and whatnot. Yeah, what we should cover is where the shindigs are around here. Square dancings. I know how to do that, you know. Square dancing. Anyway. Yep. Ain't been a long time since I done it though. I'm probably real rusty. Well, I'm gonna go out to my horse now. Who's he on? My horse is a chair. Go sit in it.